What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Chirpcast podcast. My name is Dylan, joined by my co-host Nick. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Today's guest, we have Cody Williams, who is fresh off his first ever Jday Offroad overall win. Cody, happy to have you here.
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me on the Tripcast. I'm excited to talk with you guys tonight.
Hell yeah, we're excited to have you. Thank you. Cody, first question. Where the hell did Pizza Willy come from?
So I guess it was just I was eating a lot of pizza. That's pretty much it. I was getting it a lot, multiple times a week, and my buddy Aaron Hirsch, I think he's the one that gave it to me. Kind of was like, man, you have that a lot. You should probably just, because he called me Willy, and then he just said,
Right.
you might as well be Pizza Willy. So there it was, and I do feel as if I'm blowing it a little bit on the name. Like I have it, but it's like, what am I doing with the name? I gotta step it up. I gotta eat more pizza or do something. Make sure it's, I don't know.
Get a hold of like Domino's or Pizza Hut for a sponsor or something like that.
I need something. Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
So how's it feel to get your first Jday overall this past weekend?
So it's been a crazy couple days. I did have a goal of winning a moto this year, but I really didn't. I guess I didn't expect to win an overall, especially not right now. I've kind of been like, breaking in the top 5 and got a couple podiums and whatnot, but I guess it was kind of unexpected. So the last couple of days have been crazy with messages and just even Sunday, like the support around the track, and like it just seemed like the whole freaking track was cheering, and I've never felt that before. It was insane. So even like all my friends, I mean Grant from Motorbikes, like he's pretty hard on me. He's like one of my best friends, but he's real hard on me. And for him to, I could tell he was like, "Fuck yeah, like you killed it. That's awesome." So it felt good. Yeah, it's been awesome.
That's so sick. Did you know your like second moto? Did you know you had the overall in the bag or no?
So what's crazy is I assumed yes, but thinking back, it's like, well, does a 2-2 beat a 1-3? Bubs went 1-3. If
Right.
I had celebrated like that and then lost the overall, it would have been. Oh, I would have been so upset. So yeah, I assumed that I had it, but I guess I shouldn't have assumed that.
So you knew Bubs was in third, like while the last few laps of that second moto. I mean, that's gonna be so crazy.
Yeah, I actually didn't know where Bubs was. I wasn't even thinking about it. I guess maybe I was just like, well, if Bubs isn't near me, I don't know where he is, because
Right.
he should have been right. He's a freaking amazing rider. He should have been right there. So I was like, I guess I just assumed, and then people were just going nuts. So I'm like,
You kind of had that feeling.
yeah, I'm just like, man, I guess it's me. Yeah. So it was cool.
Especially, I mean, you said you had a goal to just get a podium this year on a moto, but I mean, Cooper Webb there, Robbie Marshall there Saturday. I mean, Bubs there, Simon. All those guys, they're all so good. Just to get it done, I mean, that's so impressive. You must have been so stoked.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I did. So coming into the season, I got back surgery in February. So my goals were pretty much just I thought I was going to miss the first 3-4 races, and then just do what I could and ride and try to build into the season. But it ended up going really good, and the good starts were helping, so it kind of sped things along. And yeah, so I guess my goals changed pretty fast to, hey, maybe I can get a moto podium or just whatever. But I guess the good starts have been really helping.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. I mean, your first podium was what, at State Line this year?
Yeah, at State Line. I love that place.
Yeah, it's so fun. Is that when you were like, this could happen? I could do this.
Yes, I think so. My memory's so bad with so when I listen to Simon on here, he's so real good with like his timeline and knowing years and races. And
Yeah.
I kind of was like, when you asked me to do this a few days ago, I'm like, man, I should write some stuff down. And because I couldn't, if I had to go through my career, man, it'd be tough. Like with dates and all that stuff. So even just like more races, I'd say yes, state line. It kind of came around with getting that podium, and I think that was the one where I kind of ran like top 3 for a while on the second moto and was feeling pretty good. I'm like, shit, maybe this is gonna happen this year, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've always been right there. You've had podiums in the past, and you always have the speed. So it doesn't come by any surprise from me looking at it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that what it was for me, I think, is obviously this thing at this level is like just all mental. So if you look at like Grant always tells me not to, but if you look at the lap times, it's like 10th place could probably win a race at some point. It's like there's so many like guys like Frederico and just Gavin Simon. Like Gavin was faster than I was on Sunday, and then I ended up winning. It's like Gavin could have won, Simon could have won, you could win a race. There's just so many guys that could win. So I do think that it's a lot mental. And for me, going to state line, I know that's your home turf, and Gavin and Simon Johnson, and it's like that. It's almost like that dirt. It's in New York, and it's tacky, Rudy, and I know that's some guys' home turf, and to run with them there kind of gave me confidence to go anywhere and be like, well, if I can run with them there, then
You could do it
I
anywhere.
could do it anywhere. Yeah, exactly. Especially humans, I'm really comfortable there.
Right.
So when was your first Jday, and how did you kind of get into Jdays? I know you have a moto background. So how did that all happen for you?
So Jdays, it was kind of just like I was pretty deep in moto that my growing up years from when I started riding when I was 15, 16 till I was 22 maybe, and then the Jdays kind of was just like a fun getaway for me from moto. I didn't care how I finished. I didn't care anything. It was a real loose program. I showed up right before the motos, showed up at 12 o'clock, didn't look at the track, nothing, and just went out and rode, and I had a great time. So it was pretty much a low-key getaway from moto. Still having fun on my dirt bike, still having fun with my friends, but it was just kind of a fun race for me. I didn't really have expectations or care. So it was just something different. And the first one, I think I did a Central Village in maybe 2012 or 13. And then just kind of didn't really do many until maybe 2018. Just kind of one or, couple a year, just whatever for fun. I was still pretty in deep with my motocross goals and trying to do that whole thing.
Did you said you did it for fun, but was there, you see like what Cooper Webb's doing this year and what guys have done in the past, Ryan Dungey taking 5 years off because they're feeling that burnout. Is any part of starting to do the Jdays or doing them back then because you were burnt out for moto, or was it just you just wanted to do it strictly just for fun?
I would say it was just strictly for fun. I wouldn't say I was really ever burned out of moto. I think I was frustrated with moto at points, but I don't think that I didn't start riding until I was 16. So I don't think that I've ever really experienced like a true burnout. I do take winters off. I love stud riding, like with in the snow with my friends, but I don't really take it super serious in the winter anymore. Yeah. So I don't really experience that. It was more for fun. Going to the Jdays was just a good time.
I didn't realize you started when you were 16. To qualify for a national and do all that. What got you into it then? From being that late, considering for what the ages are now for people starting.
Well, when I was probably 4 or 5, there was some show on TV. I can't remember what the frickin' show was called, and they raced like six wheelers and like those Cubs. Do you remember those Cub bikes? Those
I
things
remember
were
the
so
Cub
sick.
links. Oh yeah, for sure.
They raced those, and they raced somebody that hopefully somebody that's listening is gonna know what I'm talking about. I don't know what the show was called, but they raced all these different classes, and I used to race that, like watch that. Sorry, and I'm like, man, I want a freaking dirt bike, and my mom was like, I used to have a motorcycle, you should get one. Dad wouldn't let me have one, so so like 5th, 6th birthday, got like helmet for Christmas, like boots, like full deal, right?
Yeah.
No bike. I'm like, wait, I'm like, what is this? So I kind of like just like would wear the helmet like BMXing and like whatever, but no dirt bike. I wasn't allowed to have one. It was just too dangerous, so I couldn't I didn't get one until a bunch of buddies in high school had like 4-wheelers and whatever, so I got a Yamaha Blaster when I was 15, and I used to ride down the pit, and then my buddy Keith Mozeni, him and his brother used to race dirt bikes, and they're like, why don't you get a dirt bike? Why don't you get a dirt bike? And finally, I bought a '96 KX80 for $500. I rode it one time, and then they were like, we're going to Jolly Rogers. We're going racing this weekend. So I'm like, I mean, I can use it. Shit, I'll race,
Right.
And so yeah, I think I was 15 then, and I did that race, and that was the first time I had ever worn boots on a dirt bike, and I remember landing off the jumps, like I'd get a little air, just a little air, and when I'd land, my foot would land on the rear brake every time. I'm like, this bike's a piece of shit. Like it just keeps bogging when I'm landing. The thing sucks. No, it was me landing my foot on the brake.
That'd be sick if there was footage of that out there.
Oh man, it was ugly. Like I remember it was a Jolly Rogers NESC mud race, and it's actually a funny story. So I showed up and I had a Fox Racing long sleeve T-shirt, not even a jersey, and I show up right, and I go down to the line. And it's like Jimmy Dakotas, Matt Fisk, Mike Pacone, and like Marty Mack, and just like all these kids, and they had gold hubs, they had all this stuff on their bikes, and I'm like, why the fuck are their forks upside down? Like, what's with that big part on the top? And then I start looking, I'm like, shit, I'm the only one that's got the regular conventional forks. I'm like, wow, okay.
Just had no clue.
I had no idea like that you were supposed to put front fender stickers on. I didn't know. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. So after you learn quick, you're like, man, I don't want to be an outcast. I don't want to look like that,
Right.
So were you hooked after the first race?
Instantly.
And so that was when you were 15. When did you kind of start taking it seriously and start training and really
training? So what am I, 32? So
maybe next year.
No, I'm joking. Well, I pretty much I did 2 races that year. I did Jolly Rogers and I did a Middleborough NESC, and I think I got last in both races, and but I loved it. And over the winter, my mom and dad got me a brand new KX85. It was 05 maybe, KX85. Got Pro Circuit graphics for Christmas. Freaking clutch cover, like the thing was sick.
Oh yeah.
And I did a full season of NESC that year. Just it was fun. 85C class, and I took it pretty serious. I mean, NESC races a lot. Like that's one complaint that a lot of people have with that series. It's like, man, that's a lot of racing. Like, like Jday, you take breaks, and I think it's a reasonable amount of racing. But NESC, it's like, man, you're doing so many freaking races,
Yeah, constantly every weekend different.
Constantly.
What do you think of like NESC? They go to, I don't know what it is exactly, but kind of the same tracks every couple of weeks. And then Jday obviously is a couple double headers, a couple, 2 Crow Hill, 2 Celtic, but the rest it's a different track and pretty much a different layout. I mean, what do you think of that? once you started doing Jday, did you like that more, or not really knowing the track compared to moto, kind of what you're gonna get?
So as like a typical motocross rider, of course, like I would, I'll bitch about stuff, but in
Yeah.
general, you know what I'm saying. But in general, the NESC stuff did get monotonous. I would say it's like, how many laps can you do around Winchester? I mean, it's a
Right.
great track and all, and they do a great job, and Danny Stewart does a great job with 207, and but it's like they do go to the same tracks a lot, and so I feel like Jday kind of switches it up. There's not as many races, and then they try to keep it fresh, even if it's a new section, even if it's reversing it, even if it's a little fresh cut, a different extreme section, whatever. When John had it, he did that. Ethan's, following suit. So that is one amazing thing about the Jday series. I've done a handful of Netras. I mean, you could speak for it more than me. They do run a lot of the same tracks, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. They pretty much every venue that they go to it's not much different. It's kind of the
Yeah.
same old track. Maybe a little.
Mm-hmm.
Some places reverse the direction, but for the
Mm-hmm.
majority of it, like the one you just did at Union,
Mm-hmm.
I
heard
been
that.
the same one forever.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
think a lot of it too is there's only so much land they can use, and it's so tough to make single track when there's already tracks there. So it's tough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Jeff Staples, who is the head mechanic at Motorbikes, he has won. He's been doing some GNCCs this year, but he won a Union overall. I don't know the year, maybe 02. I don't even know. He'd probably I don't even know, but he was telling me, he said it's the same track from when I raced it, and he said the dirt's so hard that it hasn't changed since then.
No, it hasn't.
So, but to be honest and fair, I thought that place was pretty sick.
Yeah, it's not a typical nutcher. It's a little fast car roads and with the car roads and everything. But I want to go back to the NESC stuff, and just because you said you did a whole season on your 85 and NESC, but where did you get? How did you get so fast? I mean, you qualified for a national in 2019. Where do you go from racing a full season on 85 to that?
So yeah, NESC was pretty much just my whole life from that moment, 15 until till 2021 ish. So I mean, I did that season on an 85, and then the next year, like I said, I'm bad with timelines, but I got a KX 125 the next year. That would have been so that must have been maybe halfway through 05, got a 125. So got off the 85, went to the 125, did what they call, it was a youth B class because I had promoted to the B class. There was like a point system. So I started getting, obviously some top fives, I would say, because that's how you accumulate the points. So
Right.
I started, climbing up the ladder quick in the C class, got onto a 125 and started climbing the ladder in that. And then,
so you started progressing pretty quickly once you started really get into it.
Yeah, once I got into it, I started progressing pretty quickly in the C class. I remember I won my first race that year. So the first full season, I won my first race at Bull Run. It was in Green, Maine. They don't race there anymore, but any older NESC person, that's like a historic place for NESC. It was pretty sweet. It's actually probably 30. People would correct me, but maybe 30 minutes from Hemans. In Green, and it was sick. It was like similar, like really grassy fields for pitting, and like the track was like hard pack off cambers and pretty big like downhills, uphills. It was a sick track. A lot of talent came from that track. A lot of people.
Yeah, that was part of NESC.
Yeah, and that was part of NESC. But a lot of good guys up there. You guys probably heard of like Craig Doobie, Seth Taylor. Freaking, there was a lot of guys up there that were, man, they were on the gas. But yeah, won my first race there, and then from there just continued to move on. The one thing that I do remember from being on an 80 was like there was this one corner at Jolly Rogers, like right before the finish line. They called it the Celtic turn, and I just remember like coming into it in the 85 class, like, and I just remember like holding the gas on into the turn, and I'm just like, man, I don't really have to let off the gas, and I just like ripped through the turn, and I think that was like a big turning point for me. I was just like,
It clicked.
yeah, I was kind of like, shit, you just kind of lean it over.
Right.
And
And it
that started
works.
the downhill spiral of me not shifting the bikes. That went on for a lot of years. It's still
A
going
lot
on.
of clutches.
A lot of valves and oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yep.
So then when did you go to the expert class from, I mean, from
So
there?
that took a while. I think, well, maybe 2008. So it was a couple years. I did 5, 6, 7, and then I think 2008 I promoted. It's a lot of points. It's like 30 points to be B, and then I believe it's like 120 or 220 or I don't. That's a lot more points to be A. So it takes a lot longer. So I think '08 was my first year, and I was riding Cowie 250Fs, and man, I felt like I was at that year. I was like trying to do my own work. I thought I could do my own motors and this that. I had to because it was just I was doing them so much. It would be like the night before. I swear every freaking weekend the head was off the thing, and I'm doing like valves. I even had like the valve tool to put the clips in and or the whatever you call them at this point. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And I was putting all that stuff in, and I remember being like putting the cams in and putting the cam caps on and being like, man, the cams are really tight, and just like filing them down with like it just didn't need to be. I was just shouldn't have been working on my bikes,
Yeah.
but I did that to just to get going. And so '08 was my first year expert, and I actually won the Open Expert Championship.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I didn't do as good in there was typically the 250 Pro or 250A class was more stacked than the Open. The Open was a shorter race, and it was kind of like I don't want to say it was like a watered down class, but it wasn't as deep. So I remember I was battling this Shane Kelleher is his name. I don't know if you guys have heard of
Oh
him, but
yeah. Yep.
absolute NESC legend. Like the guy still like he is a beast, and was a beast, is a beast. Like I remember like growing up on 80s watching him, and then I ended up racing him, and I was scared shitless. And so we battled. I don't know how I ended up beating him in the championship. And at the NESC banquet, he shook my hand, and he goes, "This will never happen again," and it never has.
That's like you obviously know Brooks. That's something like Brooks Hamilton would say to somebody.
Yeah,
Put the
the guy like
spirit into you.
like full respect and everything, but like yeah, he was like, yeah, you're not gonna beat me again, and he was right. So yeah, '08 that was a good year. So that was expert class, and then yeah.
So how was it? How was it qualifying for a national, and what was that like being out there with some of the biggest riders in the sport?
It was a long road, to be honest. It was that was like a pretty emotional thing for me, because it's like that. Like I can't really remember life before, being like 15, whatever.
Yeah.
And but so ever since I can remember, it was just like, man, that's all I want to do. All I want to do is race a 250F at Southwick in the national. I want to do the parade lap. That's all I want to do. That's all I could think about. I'm at the gym. I'm on the Stairmaster. I'm thinking national. I'm at freaking work. I'm like national. Like it's just
Right.
all I wanted. So, and sometimes when that happens, it just makes it harder because you're dwelling on it,
Until you get it done, right?
Until
So
get
you
it
focus
done.
on that for years. Like you just wanted to get. I feel like that's such an NESC thing. Like a lot of those guys, obviously, Southwick's a completely different track than all the other ones on the pro circuit, but a lot of
Yeah.
NESC guys go there and kill it, and they do a really, Chris Canning this year, Kokinos, everybody.
Yeah. It definitely is. When I was doing it, it was really difficult to even get a license. So they've changed the ruling a bit, I think, because they want money, maybe. But
Right.
and I could be wrong. I could get corrected, but when I did it, I applied for the license. They denied it. They said no. And I was in the expert class. I'd won a championship, everything, maybe like 2010, I applied for it, whatever. They denied it. And I'm like, shit, man. I was like, that's crazy. So I started looking at the ruling, and you could either get all these amateur points at pro-ams, which were like, they were far away, and we didn't have money to go do all this stuff. So it was either
Right.
that or you go to Loretta Lynn's. So
That's costly
that's
in
what I did.
itself too.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. So so I was doing NESC all the way up until, and then in 2010 I tried to go to Loretta's. I didn't qualify. At the regional, I didn't make it, and then 2011 I finally qualified for Loretta's. That was my goal for the year, was just do because like I said, we didn't have money, so it was like I did the area qualifier, the regional qualifier, and Loretta's. That was the only goal, was just to get a pro license. That was 2011, was the whole year was based around that.
And then you got in 2011, and 2019 is when you qualified.
Yep. So I did so I did Southwick every year. They had it. They didn't have it in I don't know if it was 14 and 15. I can't remember, but I did
they
it.
took it off. Remember that?
Yep. But I did it in 11, 12, 13, and then I don't know if it was 14, 15 didn't have it, and I did it 16, 17, 18, 19. So it took me how many times that is to make it. Meanwhile, I was doing Unadilla most years, Budds Creek most years, Steel City when they used to have it. I think that's it. I think I tried to do High Point once, and that was a mistake.
Oh boy, that must have been a huge weight lifted off your shoulders, though, getting that done.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely. It was up until recently. It was probably the biggest accomplishment. But I mean, realistically, it was because it just weighed on me for so long. Like I needed to do it. I didn't care where I finished. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to do it.
Just wanted it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think from kind of the change up? You're going from moto, you qualify for a national, and then you go into do Jdays. You start doing woods races, so you have this obviously amazing motocross background, and you're bringing that into woods. Like, what was like the biggest struggle, or the biggest what am I trying to think of? Like, what was the benefit of being a moto guy going to the woods, or the biggest struggle from being a moto guy going into the woods doing Jdays? Because obviously, I know I couldn't go qualify for a national, and you can go from qualify national to get a win at a Jday. I mean, what do you think what do you think of that, going from moto to woods?
Well,
obviously, there's so much different stuff.
There's a lot to unpack with that. I would say it's tough to say, but I would say Jday is very different than, say, a Netra. So woods in general, I could jump into a Jday and get by.
Right.
Back when I was riding a 120, a CR 125 in 14, I actually, it's crazy. I started looking up results the other day because I'm like, was I good? Like, what was I doing? I was like, what? And I wasn't that good. But I got by. I was
work.
I made it work. I had fun. I was battling, with the guys, whatever. But say I went to a Netra, which I did. I went in maybe 09. I went to Hard Knocks, I think it was. It was just the one, you'll know the one. It had a little moto track. It's got a big old rock garden, right up next to the pits. And god damn it, that was hard. And it's so funny because I don't know if it was 08 or something, but John Day's in the results. And yeah, I had no business being out there. Moto tank, I had to fill up twice. It was brutal. But yeah, to answer your question, I would say it's easier for a moto guy to go to Jday because, like Simon says, the intensity. He says that he lacks intensity. He's got it. He's just a really smooth rider. But the intensity at Jday, it's pretty right off the rip. Where it's just like a motor race. The gate drops. You're trying to go fast. So whereas maybe a Netra, you kind of do. It's almost weird how the guys like they cruise the first couple miles. But yeah, I would say that it was easier for me to go into Jdays because of the pace. It's a quick 30-minute race. So
I give you a lot of credit because like I said, I couldn't go and qualify. A lot of guys couldn't go qualify for a national, and then you coming from Moto into Woods and doing what you did. I mean, you've done national enduros, hare scrambles, everything. It's pretty impressive. So I just want to get your yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I kind of threw myself into all that because I doing the Jdays when I kind of got more into it in like 2018, I realized my weakness was obviously roots and rocks and hill climbs and all that stuff. And so when I did try to do a couple of Netras, I'm like, man, I suck. So I really just threw myself into the woods and tried to do it as much as I could. And I did like half the series in 2020 of National Enduro. So that really helped. I think I got third or fourth in the 250A championship at National Enduro in 2020. So
those are tight too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really tight. Like I remember the first one I went to, I got to a part where my bike didn't fit through and my shoulders barely. I'm like, what do they want me to do right here?
Yeah, what do I do?
I'm like, this is crazy. But now I get it. Like you can do it. You gotta just wheelie and turn the bars.
Right.
It was crazy.
What about like I know from working with shout out Factory Connection and all the guys over there, like a moto setup compared to a wood setup, was it hard for you to adjust to having a softer setting and changing your bike around, hand guard, skid plate, even everything from having to pass in the woods, having to pick a line, you can yell at guys and they move over, not like in a moto where you just kind of got to pass them. I mean, I feel like there's so much different stuff there.
Yeah, there is. Settings, I mean, everyone, I still struggle today. I got out of work late, so I missed my mountain bike night, and I just got out of my dirt bike, and just before talking to you guys, and I struggled tonight. Like, there was some hard pack rollers, and my shit's so soft now because I have more of a, I actually tried your setting. It was very, very soft, very soft. But no, so mine's firmer than yours is. But I'm still, you get some rollers, you're bottoming out. But if you're working good on the rollers, you're not working good through the roots. Right. So it's kind of, you're doing a give and take with your suspension settings, no matter what you're doing. You can get close, but you kind of gotta pick your poison on that one for sure. Like,
it's never gonna be perfect.
It's not gonna be perfect unless you're revalving in between rounds. I don't think. But if you're a Netra guy, they got a good, you can get a good setting. If you're a moto guy, you can get a good one. But Jdays, that's where it all kind of, it gets, it's like, what do you want,
So what changed with your results this year? You went from doing decent last year. Now you're on your third podium, your first overall win, only 20 points down in the championship hunt. Did you change anything training wise, or is it all mental? Or
I did start cycling more. Like I said, I got my back surgery in February, and I go to my chiropractor actually started. It's Evolved Health Chiropractic, and they actually started doing like basically like almost like personal training for people who are coming from injury but aren't yet in the gym. So it's like a stepping stone, and I started doing that, and I'm really bad at working out. So if I went into the gym, I'd be like, what am I doing? I'm really, really bad at working out. So, which I'm sure a lot of people are. Like, they go into a gym and they're just like, oh, there's somebody on that machine, I'm not going to do it. Like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. So this really helped me kind of bridge the gap. They were helping me with my rehab, and then I still go. So it's kind of almost like personal training now, where like we're kind of working on like just core stability, because what I had done was a discectomy. So it's basically a herniated disc, and the surgeon goes in, they trim off the part of the disc that's sticking into the nerve, causing pain down like the glute and the leg. It's called sciatica. So Braden Ouellette had the same surgery as me in January. I had mine in February. So I kind of talked with him because I've had this is my second time. So I kind of talked him through some of it. But yeah, when you have that, man, it's the most brutal thing. You can't sleep. You can't you don't want to talk to anybody. You can't ride. Like he couldn't ride. It's bad.
Yeah. Is that from racing? You got that? Just like beating your body up over time, or?
It's really hard to say, honestly. But yeah, I would say some people are more susceptible to it than others. Like just their backs in general. Like maybe their discs are smaller, or the like the casing around the disc itself is weaker, and it leaks through. I don't really know the cause, but it sucked, man.
Sure. Doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I go to I go to that, and then my Grant actually is a big mountain bike guy now. So he's been getting fit, losing weight, and my buddy Chris Votor, he actually does the Netra Enduros. It's like us three. We mountain bike like multiple times a week, and I'd say like mountain biking, cycling, and then the combination with like my physical therapy maybe. Like we do a lot of core stability stuff because to try to take pressure off the back, and we do a lot of legs, and I'd say that stuff helps because last year I was kind of just riding, pretty much just dirt biking, like 3-4 days a week, and now I'm pretty much riding maybe once. Like most rounds I don't even ride between the rounds. It's just mountain biking and whatever. So that's why I think it's a lot mental, because it's like last year I was really putting in effort. Like I wanted it so bad last year, and this year I'm just kind of like, fuck it, it is what it is,
Go in the flow.
Yeah. So but it's going pretty good. And to answer his question, it's the starts. I was riding a 250F last year, and I'd start in 20th, and I'd do what I could, and I had a good time. But it's a 30-minute race. You got to be real fast to get to the front with a bad start. So
like you said, the top 10 is also close. That getting a 30th place start and then trying to fight through people, or even if they're a couple of seconds off a lap, that's tough to pass.
Yeah,
tough to get back up there. So you're just setting yourself back already.
Exactly. So I'd say, and like sometimes my lap times would be slower than somebody who's finished behind me, but I got a better start than them, and they're messing around in the dust, and I'm out front. So I think that makes a big difference too. But plus, if I do ride, like if I can ride during the week, man, I'm just doing starts. Like
just practicing starts.
Yeah, it's like I know how to ride my dirt bike. Like I'm just doing starts.
Right. You do motos all weekend. I mean, so you're not going out and doing motos throughout the week, or do you do you go out trail riding or anything, or just practicing technique and starts?
I mean, I don't really get to get out that much, but if I do, like I'll try to do a moto, and then I'll do a bunch of starts. I'll do one moto, and I'll do some starts, because it's usually after work. I'm pretty beat. It's hot. Like
it's the last thing you want to do is get back on that. And...
Yeah. It's and I also, like, to your point earlier, like I still want to like love it when I get on the bike on the weekend. I want to love it. So it's like, man, last year I did ride a ton, and I don't think that you really need to ride that much at this point. I mean, when you're working and working out and all this stuff.
You hear so much about recovery now, and like, back in the day, everybody would just say, do motos, pound out motos, but recovery is such a huge thing. I think it's kind of a new thing that's coming around with, like, hey man, you don't need to go ride 4 days a week and do, 2 30-minute motos every day. You're not going to lose fitness in a week.
Right.
You're maintaining it every race.
Yeah, I had this conversation with John Day a little bit because of his mountain bike career. it seems like cyclists they ride 7 days a week, and
Right.
I'm like, what's what do you? I was kind of picking his brain about it, because it does seem like cyclists and motocross, obviously it's very different, but yeah, recovery. I feel like it's huge.
What do you so you said you went to a 252 stroke this year from the 250F, right? Do you like the two stroke better, or is it just strictly for starts? 'Cause
Strictly for
I
starts.
really, so you would, if it wasn't for a dead engine start and you could get a start in 250F, you'd be back on a 250F.
It's tough to say. I would say no, because of money wise, like the two strokes
Yeah.
easier to keep together, and then like power to weight ratio is better. But
Right.
there's definitely a lot of times where I'm like, man, I love a 250F. Like I just love riding them. They're smooth. They get the traction in the ground. You can just it's pretty freaking sweet. So it's a tough call. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, but overall I like the 250F. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So one thing Nick and I always notice is your professionalism on and off the track. You're always posting like pictures of your gear and thanking your sponsors, giving race reports. Where does that come from? Is it just something?
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess I've just always just tried to be polite. I've seen a lot of people maybe do the wrong thing, and I'd say I'm just kind of like, I guess my eyes are just open to like, well, don't be like that. It's like, you got to be. I've always been like appreciative, and or at least tried to be, like, if I wasn't, it wasn't on purpose. I try to
Right.
be appreciative of the people that are helping me, and especially this industry. I mean, you can say what you want, but it's small, and
Agreed for sure.
so I just try to give back a bit, and just at least be appreciative of the people that are helping me and my friends, and stuff like that. So I think it goes a long way. I see people who are like really good at riding dirt bikes, and they don't get much, um, and maybe it's because their attitude, or just their lack of, maybe they're a little bit selfish, where it's like, man, people don't have to help you. Like they don't have like I don't they don't have to help me.
Right.
But if respect goes a long way, I think, in this.
That's kind of rooting off one of our other questions, is like, what do you have, like, what's like a piece of advice you have for a mini kid coming up, or even a 15-year-old kid now trying to come up and trying to make a name for themselves in this, Jday, Netra, GNC, whatever they're doing. I mean, obviously professionalism is a huge thing. So, like, what do you have to say for somebody like that trying to come up and trying to make it in this sport?
Well, it's even funny. I talked to Bubs about this like 3-4 years ago. He was like young and coming up and stuff, and I'm just like, just kind of like, was like, hey, don't if you're gonna act up, or like do like immature things and like all this stuff, at least don't let people see it.
Yeah.
Like I do believe there's a balance in life. Like Stu Baylor's obviously on the side of like, it's drinking season. It's like the dude. He's 30 years old. He can do whatever he wants. You drink. Like like
Right.
I have IPAs every Wednesday after mountain biking. It is what it is. I'm freaking 32 years old. But
Yeah.
you're young, and you're coming up, and you want people to support you in this stuff. Just don't be a jackass. Like, don't, and what that means too. Like, don't, be social media is huge. Don't be posting your, parties and this, that. And also, like, if you want it that bad, you have to make sacrifices. You really do. You can't, you're going to go do a nutty, you're going to do a hair scramble, and you're 21 years old. You're not drinking the night before. You're just not. Like,
Right.
I mean, maybe some people can do it, but I don't. I think that you can't do it. You got to make sacrifices. You got to choose which way you want to go. I think that helps a lot of people kind of keep on the straight and narrow. I think it helped me, because it's like I had goals, and stuff like that. So I'd say just like watch your image, kind of like you know what that means with the social media and stuff like that, because companies don't want to, they don't want to help somebody that's, drinking beers and doing burnouts and whatever else. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think it's sweet, but I'm also not, Factory Beta or KTM or whoever is going to sponsor somebody, so.
And like you said, being smart the day before a race, like especially, if you had a good point, if you're paying for yourself to go race or you're having people help you, like that's the last thing you want to be doing, or somebody to find out you're doing is partying and wasting your time, somebody else's time, your money, their money. Once you appreciate the value of a dollar, people understand, and
Yeah. For example, I remember it was probably 2008, and I was racing in EC like full time, and there was a gym in Maine right near MX207, and the guy was interested in helping me, and he's like, "Hey man, I think I could help you with your fitness and get you to the next level, whatever." I'm like, "Cool," and I just remember just being a total idiot and like not taking it serious and like posting like going to McDonald's on Facebook and like, which is not a big deal. I'm a kid. It's like I'm getting a Big Mac. It is what it is, but
right.
I just remember him bailing on me because of my lack of commitment. And I guess I didn't care at the time, but looking back, it's like all I had to do was just not do that and just put a little bit of effort in, and I probably would have got help. It's like, and then I look back and, I blame for not like, because I obviously wanted to be a professional motocross rider. That's what I wanted to do. And I didn't do that. And I look back and I'm like, oh, it was money. Oh, it was this. Oh, it was my whatever. And it's like, no, it was you. It was just strictly like you didn't put in the effort. So you kind of have to say no when you want to say yes sometimes. So I guess that would be some advice.
Yeah, that's such a huge thing when you can, discipline yourself and understand that it's not anybody, it's not anybody else. It's you. Like you said, it's all on you. You're the one that has to show up. If somebody's helping you, you got to put as much effort in as they're giving you,
Yep.
That's such a huge thing. And don't take anybody or anything for granted, and learn from every little person that tries to help, whether you already know it or not. Just take it and go.
Absolutely.
So if you weren't racing, what would you be doing? Like, what are your hobbies? And
Oh, man, it's tough. I just like riding so much. I would say, I don't know. The riding's pretty much like what I like to do. I mean, I grew up rollerblading. That was my big thing. All I did was go to the skate park. I had a babysitter, maybe from when I was like 8 to whatever, till I was old enough to not have a babysitter. And that lady she would just drop me off at the skate park at 8 in the morning and then leave me there until like 5 o'clock and then come pick me up. And like this went on for years, like every summer and then after school, whatever. And finally, like my parents were like, yeah, how's things with Betty, whatever. And I'm like, it's good. I just go to the skate. They're like, she does what? Like,
Just drops me off.
Yeah, she just drops me off, picks me up. I was there. So I was skate park for like 8 hours. So I don't know, like, I like rollerblading. Rollerblading is a good hobby of mine, but I love mountain biking and pretty much anything with bikes. I'm more into fitness now, so like road biking, cycling. Supposed to do my first mountain bike race tomorrow, but my derailleur didn't come in, so I'm not doing that. But
what's it, like a local mountain bike race?
Yeah, just a local deal, like 2 classes, just like either a 4 mile or a 10 mile or something. So
nice.
Yeah,
I've seen you on Strava a lot more, going out and pedaling and everything.
I'd like to do a whole podcast on Strava. I'm freaking deep.
It's addicting, isn't it?
Yeah,
Chasing
dude, I love
segments and everything.
Yeah, I couldn't love Strava anymore. Like, I'm gonna right when we're done, I'm gonna go on and see what Grant and Chris did for a ride tonight. Like, I love Strava. Yep, I love it. I see your stuff. Jake Korn, John Day, man, I freaking Clamor. Like, you guys always
almost
got
like a little flex every time you post it. Like,
Yep.
Look what I did.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, like Strava, it's like a tracking app. You like track yourself when you're mountain biking, and there's different segments that's broken down into, and you get trophies. It ranks you and how fast you go, and you get trophies. Or if you get first, it's a KOM, King of the Mountain. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, King of the Mountain, or Queen if you're a chick.
Got it. Man, it's freaking sweet.
Oh,
So
that's
like
awesome.
you see that crown, and it's like a Jday podium. It's similar. Like it's
It
pretty
really
sick.
is. You feel so accomplished.
Dude, like, oh
The
my,
best
yeah.
is when you're going out, like you said, with your buddies, and even if your guys are going for the same segment, and we always, Strava glitch, we'll say, like, you smoke your buddy by 10 seconds, even though you wrote it together, but you're like, no, it is what it is. It's the best thing.
Yeah, the app's not gonna lie to you. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it.
I got one question I forgot to ask earlier is your style. You're so, you look so perfect on the bike, your technique, everything. Where does that just come from? Time from riding? I mean, you said you started late, so it's not like you had riding schools when you were a kid. Like everything, your elbows are up, your feet are locked in. Everything always looks so locked in on you. And was somebody teaching you along the way, like, hey, don't have your feet out, don't have your elbows down, don't sit down? I mean,
No, no, that just, I mean, that came over time, definitely, but I was definitely always like it. I mean, I hate to like admit it to like a bunch of people, but I was like pretty like oriented. Like when I went to Jolly Rogers that first day, and I didn't have a jersey, and I didn't have the forks that were upside down. I didn't have fork stickers or graphics that had this stuff blended into it.
right.
I'm like, screw this. So like I'm kind of like, I don't want to look like shit. So I saw like what the technique was that I was supposed to have, and I was like, man, this is what I'm doing. Plus, honestly, like woods riding, it freaks me out having like my toes over the pegs because there's just shit everywhere. There's stumps, there's logs, there's all this stuff. So I always am like have my feet, like my toes are on the pegs like all the time, just because it's like, well, you're not gonna catch your foot on a tree if your toes are on the pegs. You can't. So that's just kind of came with that. But the whole like style thing, yeah, it's just an image thing, honestly. Like that's why people do whips, that's why people do scrubs. It's like it just looks cool. So I think I wanted to look cool when I was a kid, and then it just kind of stuck with me. I was actually riding the moto on Sunday, and I'm like, man, I'm not scrubbing anything. Like, what am I doing?
You gotta look cool.
I saw Bob's Sunday morning. He scrubbed this like tabletop right in front of me. I'm like, I don't have it. I'm like, damn it. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to go over or talk about that you think we missed or you wanted to bring up?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing that I had written down was just to talk about my Loretta's experience, because it was kind of a crazy thing, but pretty much that's really it.
I mean, tell us about it. Loretta's going on this week, so weird enough.
Yeah,
Tell
that's
us
the
about
thing.
it.
So yeah, I was actually gonna say that. So I don't actually tell a lot of people this either, but I run the Factory Connections. I run their social media, so I'm actually busy this week because it's Loretta's week. So I'm trying to like, and I was just like anything. I'm last minute getting the photographer and stuff like that. So sorry, Ziggy, I was a little slow, but we got Mike Emery doing photos. So yeah, I'm pretty busy like trying to keep up with that. But yeah, my Loretta's, like I said, I went in 2011, and it was a crazy story that would be cool to share, because when I went to the area, I went to Winchester. I qualified in 2011 for the area, and like I said, that those were the only 3 races that I wanted to do that year: area, regional, Loretta's. So I went to the area, qualified, no problem at Winchester. I could go into a whole nother story about the bikes because, man, we were just ripping through Cowie 250Fs, like breaking electrodes off spark plugs and like valve seats. We couldn't use the stock ones. We had to use beryllium ones and this whole spiel. But the regional came around, and I went to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and I was on the way there, and we were late, really, really late. It was like 3 a.m, and I don't know if I got out of work late or what the deal was, but it was 3 in the morning, and we had to be there for whatever practice started at 8 or something. So I'm ripping down the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Like, I'm in my buddy's Chevy, and I'm just like, it's 3 in the morning. There's no one on the road, and I'm just wide open, like going through the tunnels, whatever. I get pulled over doing 105 and a 50.
Oh my God.
Yep, 2 bikes, like whatever else. It was. So I got pulled over. Guy's flipping out, like pulls me out of the car. He's losing his mind on me, and so he lets me go. He like I get I got a court date, all this stuff. So Virginia takes things very like those southern states take things very serious when it comes to speeding. Like anything over 80 is a felony. I didn't know that until that night.
So you hit 105.
Yeah. So doubling the speed limit is over 80 is a felony, but doubling the speed limit, they hate it. So I went down to Elizabeth City, raced the Loretta's thing. I think that's when I met Robbie Marshall.
Okay.
I knew who he was before that, but we were pitted with him, and he was nice to us. We went out to dinner or whatever else. But anyways, I came home, and my court date was like a month later, whatever. I went down there. I got a lawyer. My parents were like, "Hey, they talked to some people. They were like, "Hey, it's really serious that happened. Like, you should, we got to get a lawyer or whatever else." So we got a lawyer. We went back down a month later. My mom and I drove down, and I'm sitting there getting waiting for my trial, and there's a woman that goes up on trial before me, and they're like, "Hey, she was driving with a suspended license, and she blew a red light or something." And she's like, she had her boss there, all this, her kids were there, everything. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm a student. This is my boss. Like, whatever. I'm super sorry. Like, I've arranged for transportation." They're like, "We don't care. 60 days. Boom. She goes to jail. I'm like, oh no.
You're probably freaking out.
I'm freaking out, dude. I'm like, it's over for me. So I remember having to talk to the guy, and I obviously like no one loves public speaking, and I'm like trying to be like, "Hey, yeah," I forget what the lawyer told me to say. Like the markers were going by really fast, and I just didn't know what was going on. The calibration was off, the wheels, So anyways, the guy's like, "Yeah, cool story, 90 days, right?" So he gives me 90 days in jail, and I'm like, "What? Like, come again?" So my lawyer appeals it and he's like, "Hey," explains the whole thing. He's like, "Hey, yeah, we'll just, you go home. We have another trial. We'll get you out of this, blah, blah, blah." So I go home, drive from Virginia to home. Then it was like 8 days before the regional, and I have another trial in Virginia. So I go back to the trial again, and long story short, the guy ends up giving me 4 days in jail. So
From 90.
From 90, yeah, it goes down to 8, and then whatever, out of state. I don't know what the deal was, but you have to do 50% of your sentence for whatever reason. So I had to do 4 days. So I go to jail for 4 days, blue jumpsuit, Virginia prison, full deal. I get out on I think it was a Friday that I got out, and the regional was Saturday. So I fly from Virginia to High Point, to whatever airport was close. So I fly in there, dude. My back was I swear that's what started my back problems, because you just sleep on a board,
right. Shout out Virginia jail.
Yeah, get out of Virginia jail, right to High Point. And my buddy brought my bike from Massachusetts to High Point, so I just show up there, and it was a mutter, and so yeah, right to the track, and then I got 8th, or 7th, whatever it was, to get in, and made it to Loretta. So that was pretty sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's probably my best story.
Isn't it weird how at that time though you're probably freaking out and thinking the worst, but then at the end of it everything works out, and you still tell that story now? Yeah,
it was so crazy. I never thought that I would be in jail. I just they just took my phone. I'm like, I can't even tell my boys.
Right, hey, I'm locked up.
Hey boys, I'm not gonna respond to the group chat for 4 days.
Right. So your bike was ready to go, and your buddy just picked it up and met you down there?
I honestly, dude, I don't remember, but it must have been pretty
That's
ready.
so
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, he picked it up and it was good. I guess like gear, whatever. Yeah. It was ugly. Cause my I think my mom like drove home and then maybe she like got some stuff ready and then I flew. That was crazy, man. It was like taxi to the airport. It was nuts.
Right. Fly there and race.
Yeah, fly there and race. Yeah, and then
Sick.
yeah, it was pretty sick. So that started the whole pro thing because obviously you got to go to Loretta's to get the pro license unless you want to do all those other races. So
Yeah.
I ended up getting like 16th or 17th in Open Pro Sport that year. So that top 20 got you an outdoor pro motocross license. So that's how I got it.
Nice.
That's sick. Would you ever go back and do it again?
Uh,
Loretta's?
I've been thinking about it. Yeah, maybe like 30. I'm 32 now, so maybe the 30 plus. I can do it because I've never scored a point. So
Nice.
I think I can do it.
The track looks so fun. I've been watching some of the live feed of throughout the week, and that track looks awesome.
It does look fun. What's crazy about the ranch is you mentioned the track. And like normally people don't mention the track. They mention like everything but the track. It's like the heat, the competition, the everything but the track. So but the track is sick.
Right. Somebody commented, remember that show you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Maximum Drive?
Dude, that sounds like it.
That's
I
funny.
want to
That
look it
somebody
up. I
remembered
want to
that.
look it
Yeah.
up so bad. Like Maximum Drive.
Maximum Drive.
I
And
want
then
to
we
see it.
got
So
a comment asking if you're doing the Netra this weekend.
no. So I want to. You know how I said life is a balance and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Grant's son, Grantley, is graduating from. Well, he graduated from high school, but his birthday party or his graduation party is this weekend. So, Alyssa, my girlfriend, and all of our friends are going to the lake. We're gonna chill out. So,
Sick. Hey,
yeah,
you won your first Jday. You can take a week off.
I can take a week off. Yeah, but as a racer, the mental part comes in, and you're like, man, I'm gonna lose. I'm losing it. Like you gotta,
Right.
you know how it is.
Oh yeah. I don't think you got anything to lose though. You're good.
Yeah, we'll be all right. Are you going?
Yeah, it's close, so I'm gonna go for sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been a while
nice,
since
good.
May, so
Give me something to post on FC. Get a
I
win.
will. Hopefully, I'll give you something good.
Give me something good. You know what's weird is like I can't post myself. Like it's almost like I'll post Bubs getting second overall, but I'm not posting myself.
Come on, dude, you have to.
Can't do it. Like too many people know now. I can't
Well,
do it.
give me the login and I'll do it.
I know. That's what Aaron said. Zig's kid, Aaron.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. So we'll see. But yeah, I just can't do it. I'm an only child, so I'll talk about myself a bit, but I'm not going to post it. You know.
That's good shit.
So.
Well, cool. Thank you, Cody. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
man.
a lot for coming on. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Where
thank you
can
guys so much.
where can everybody find you at?
Pretty much just on Instagram, Pizza Willy. There's 3 L's in the Willy, because the one with 2 L's was taken. I was pissed, but that's it.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Is there
guys,
anybody
thank
you
you
want
so.
to say thank you to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like all the people that sponsor our team. I actually never get to talk about it on the podium because I can never remember it. But our title sponsor this year is the Press Room. It's a restaurant in New Hampshire.
Okay.
It's a restaurant bar. It's like a 3-floor. It's a good venue. They have like live music all the time, like great food, drinks, IPAs, whatever else. It's freaking sweet. Motorbikes. I would like to thank Fox, all my friends there. We have a ton of sponsors: Red's Shoe Barn, Evolved Health Chiropractic, Summer Sessions Surf Shop, Adept does their banners. They're awesome. Limited Decal. I've been with them since 2010. They're awesome. Chapel Tractor, Campers Inn, Fresh Press, Factory Connection, Pro Taper, Moto Tassinari reeds. They're awesome. Tucker Power Sports, Ruts and Roots, Gutsy Covers, Conley Tree Farm. And that's it, man. That's our whole sponsor list. They freaking
Sick.
kill it. It's awesome.
Yeah, you guys have a pretty cool setup at the races.
Yeah,
It's cool
it's
to see
actually
it.
pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. I'd love to get back on and talk about the whole team thing and maybe have some of them on or whatever else someday.
Yeah,
It'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Definitely have you back on, and good luck for the rest of the season. We'll see you at the races, and it was good talking to you, Cody. We'll definitely have you back on again. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, and good luck to you, Nick, this weekend. Have a good one,
Thanks,
you guys.
Cody.
Thanks, usual.
Yeah, man. See you guys.